Well, you know, Democrats, as you've heard, they want to win the Senate. And one Republican seat they might need to flip is in Nevada, where incumbent Republican Dean Heller is being challenged there by Democrat Jackie Rosen. And a short time ago, Rosen got some help from the late-night talk show host Jimmy Kimmel, who kicked off a voter canvassing event in Las Vegas. NBC's Steve Patterson is traveling door-to-door with union workers as they canvass communities. He joins us live right now. And, Steve, who do you got there?
We have James and Alfonso. It's about 200 culinary workers spread out across Vegas right now, going door to door to door, trying to get out the vote. These guys are probably going to hit about 90 houses. That's where the confusion in the numbers was. And they're mainly targeting, obviously, the Latino vote. It's such a huge, decisive vote in this election. Specifically, about 28% of the population here in Nevada is Latino. So that's what these guys are doing. They're focused. They're targeting those homes and neighborhoods that would pertain to the Latino vote. To get the party started, as you mentioned, Jimmy Kimmel was in the House, sort of getting everybody rallied up and ready to go. We stopped in and spoke to him about why he thinks this race in particular is so important. Listen to this.
Well, I'm from Las Vegas. I grew up here, and this is a swing state, as you know. And Jackie happened to have worked with my dad and at Suma Corporation here in Las Vegas for many years, and I know what a great person she is and how much she cares about people. And by the way, speaking of my dad, my parents watch MSNBC 18 to 20 hours a day, so hopefully they'll see this.
We know the story with your son. Does that play a big role in sort of why you're here? Pre-existing conditions in healthcare seems to be a huge topic this year. Can you talk a little bit about that?
The idea that Americans would be unable to get health insurance because of a pre-existing condition makes absolutely no sense to me, and I think it makes absolutely no sense to most of America. I think it makes sense to most Republicans. And the idea that these people, like Dean Heller, for instance, are claiming to be protecting that and doing the exact opposite, and people are accepting that, is nonsensical to me, and I wanted to come here to do whatever I can do to put a point on that, because that's not what's going on. They don't care about your health conditions. They don't care about lifetime caps. And Jackie Rosen does. And so that's why I'm here to support Jackie.
Of course, Kimmel's son, born with a congenital heart defect. A lot of people know the story. It was in one of his monologues not too long ago. Very public about that. Very public in his support of Jackie Rosen. The race now about neck and neck between him and incumbent Dean Heller. So that's why you see all this action right now. It is get out the vote time in its prime time as we go along towards the end of this race. Back to you.
Yeah, Stephen, and part of Nevada being in the West is a large Asian American population as well, closing in on 10%. And I know the Get Out the Vote efforts have been there for that community alongside the Latino American community. Are they working across communities just like the group you were with there? Because you know this number. We've seen, 550,000 early voters in the state?
It's an incredible number. Early voters really know what was important, and that's why they got to the polls. Yeah, I mean, that culinary group not just encapsulates about 50% Latino, 50% women, but it's one of the largest multicultural groups in the entire state. So they know the importance of working with each and every community, including the Asian community, including the Black community, including Latino and the white community. And they've really targeted and located those areas in which they need to hit and get out the vote, and specifically for Jackie Rosen, but also just really in general. They want everybody to encourage and get out there and make their voices be heard.
Yeah, and it's so great that you're able to hang out there with the union workers. That is a union town, as so many people know. When I was there 2 years ago, the question for a lot of the workers there on the Strip were, am I going to get the time off to vote, right? Because it's a 24-hour city. How are they dealing with that?
Well, I think, like you saw, I think there was a huge emphasis this year, as we saw with the numbers, on early voting. I mean, and so you had a lot of people sort of driving people to the polls getting pamphlets out, getting information to let people know that you can vote early, you can mail in your ballots, there's multiple avenues in which you're able to make your voice be heard, and we've heard that consistently since we've been here. I'm not sure if they're going to let people out early or let people off of work to go and vote. I would imagine that is something that will happen with a union this big, but certainly they've been encouraged to do so, and they're encouraging their families as well. That's another thing to note. 57,000 people in that union. That's more than 100,000 if you take into account friends and families as well. So a huge population here.
Huge population, and Jimmy Kimmel will hopefully get them out to vote as well. Thank you so much, Steve Patterson, there for us in Nevada. Always great stuff.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.